You TikTokers are extremely intelligent and you're starting to ask the right questions. Someone asked me the link between the Know Nothings and the Native Americans. Now, the reason why I'm assuming you asked that question is because you ran into the information about the Native Americans having a political party referred to as the Know Nothings. But let's get a history of the Know Nothings in a nutshell. The Know Nothings are the people who know nothing about the big picture, meaning that the United States corporation could use them to help consolidate this place that they call America, and they think they're just doing a regular job for the betterment for themselves, but they're helping to fight against something that was going to hurt them in the long run, because when they consolidate the Americas, they're going to consolidate other parts of the world, and they're going to bring forth the one world government. The Know Nothings knew absolutely nothing about it. So the so-called Native American or the so-called traditional American, they were considered as the Know Nothings as well. Now, here's the thing about the traditional Americans, the ones that are labeled as Native Americans. Many of them did not want anything to do with the modern way of living. They didn't want anything to do with the world trade. They didn't want anything to do with the advancement of technology. They wanted to live the tribal way of existence. Now, many of them did walk away from the tribal way of existence and became part of modern society, but some of them, they didn't want anything to do with that. However, they needed certain things that the modern society had to offer, such as firearms and the powder for those firearms and other things as well. So in trade, some of the so-called traditional Americans would work right along the side of the United States corporation, because some of the traditional Americans, they knew the old deer routes. When I say the old deer routes, those were the path that the deers used to run. And those paths became known as highways in the future. I'll talk to you about that at another time. But they would work in trade to get some of that stuff. Plus, some of those traditional Americans, they knew some of the languages. They can decipher some of the languages of the different people that they were running to, because this place had more different languages than the continent that they call Africa. Many different languages were spoken here. Now let's go back to the traditional American. Now, some of those traditional Americans took down some very powerful war chiefs that were fighting against the uprising of the corporation. They took down some of the people who looked like them. They took them down. Some of the people who looked like us, who was high war chiefs, those traditional Americans helped take them down. I mean, man, and here, let me tell you something about the Know Nothings that came from Europe. The Know Nothings that came from Europe, who were fighting along the side of the corporation and fighting along the side of the traditional American, when they would defeat some parts of the land, they would have the Know Nothings from Europe pretend and play the role as traditional Americans just to occupy the land, so they can have the hierarchy or the people who control the paperwork, they can say, well, these people signed over this land to us, but they didn't. The people who they decided to play the Know Nothings, who they just had to play the Native American or the traditional American, they signed the paperwork and they signed the treaty. But anyway, man, you guys are starting to ask some good questions. Stop it. This is your man, El Judge, man. I'm out.